Welcome to the Piston Fanatic. I'm your host, Dave Dalton, and I'm excited to share my passion and perspective of our Detroit Pistons as we go on this fantastic voyage together. I've been a diehard Piston fan since the days of Dave Bing and Bob Lanier. I've also been the varsity basketball coach of a very successful program in northern Michigan. Thank you for listening. Sorry I've been away for a minute, but I am excited. We have some breaking news. Charania of the Athletic just broke a story after a disappointing 14-68 season that we all endured. The Detroit Pistons have decided to hire a new head of basketball operations, a team president, and they will begin their search this week, according to the Athletic and sources. So we haven't had a president since 2018. And so this is a new thing, but here's the exciting thing, fans. It could mean a lot of changes, and we all wanted changes. You know, when you're as bad as we've been for 4 years, and especially the worst record in the NBA, the worst team in Piston history, we need to do something. And what happens when you get a new president? So you hire the new president, and most of the time, or many times, they are going to hire their people. They are going to take over, and they have ideas, and they want their guys. And so that could mean they hire their general manager, that they hire their head coach. And so the team president has final say in everything that's decided, including the draft picks and the trades and things. He might not necessarily orchestrate everyone. It depends on how they balance the roles. But there's been lots of talk among Piston fans that we don't know, that's been unclear about who's running the Pistons. And I always hear this common thing: there's too many cooks in the kitchen. That there's Arntellum and there's different guys, and who's really running the show and who's making the decisions. But if we get the team president, we will know who is running the operation. And again, he could retain Troy, but he might not, because I don't know. I think that he probably would hire. I think that would mean a house cleaning. I think that Gores, this is coming from Tom Gores, and so I think they need to do it swiftly. So that's exciting. We need to get things in place, and we need to get things moving before the draft and before free agency, and decide what we're going to do, and so we can get the best people available. Cade Cunningham came out and said if they want his input, if he's asked, he's going to give an answer every time. And he said he's very confident in how he sees the game and sees players, and he has a great sense of what guys are made of. And so, he's always been a leader his whole life. He obviously has a very high basketball IQ. That doesn't mean, Michael Jordan, some people say the greatest player of all time. He was horrific as a general manager. And, there's been, LeBron's made some questionable moves as general manager, like, trading for Russell Westbrook and getting rid of a lot of good guys. So anyway, it doesn't mean Cade, will be making decisions, but I hope they ask for his input. I am concerned, that Monty has really tried hard to build this great relationship with Cade, and it's obvious he really admires Cade, and I think Cade admires him. And so I don't know how that would play into any decision, but I do think that we need to get a guy. We need to get a guy that's really sharp and really can handle things. And we're going to talk about some of the candidates here in a minute. But I'm pumped. It's been a disappointing, and it was just so. I came on after every game almost the whole season, and these last games, I've been going through a divorce, so that's been no fun. So that's occupied a lot of my time. And then I've been helping coach my granddaughter's AAU team, and that's been a lot of fun. And my other granddaughter is a dancer, and she just took overall first in her solo. She's just sensational. She took overall first in two other categories also, but out of the 50 soloists, she was tops, and she is just unbelievable. But anyway, um, Cade said that he's optimistic about going forward, and he's ready to get into the gym. He's excited that he's going to. He's not going to have to do like this summer. He's had to gradually ramp up. He couldn't commit to playing on the FIBA team, or the team that was playing for the World Cup, and so now he doesn't have to gradually ramp up like he did last year and worry about things. He can just get after it and get built up. He wants to improve his ball handling, which makes sense, and his conditioning. So we did see him in our team falter in the fourth quarter, and I think part of it maybe was his conditioning, because he wasn't as good at the end of the games most of the time. And neither was our team, and I think some of that were there was never coaching adjustments or things drawn up at the end of games or the right players put in at the end of games. I think that again I talked before about how we were the worst team at the end of the game, and games decided by 3 points or less, we were by far the worst team in the NBA. Teams that were 5 point games with 5 minutes or less, we were by far the worst team in the NBA. And some of that is our players weren't good enough, and part of it is coaching. So I'm excited. I'm all for this move, and I hope that Gores goes for it. But Gores can't meddle in the decisions. What Gores has to nail is the person that he hires as team president or head of basketball operations, whatever you want to call it. So we're going to talk about some of the people that are possibilities. James Edwards wrote this in the column, but John Horst, that's the Bucks executive. He was executive of the year in 2019. They won the world championship, but he's from Sandusky, and I have a good coaching friend that's in the Hall of Fame, one of the winningest coaches in state history, Al DeMont. But he grew up in Sandusky. That's not far. It's kind of up in the thumb, and not too far from Detroit. But he worked for the Pistons as a manager at basketball operations for the Pistons from 2007 to 2008. So he has done some good things, with the Bucks and made some good moves. And so I think he's a very smart guy. Of course, he orchestrated because Giannis wanted to go for it. So he's made some good trades with limited resources. I've admired what he's done with the Bucks. Of course, things have not worked out good. So that's sometimes guys, we're out there stay. So things are kind of going downhill in Milwaukee. And so he has a chance to go to Detroit where things can only have one direction. We only have one direction we can go is up. So he's a possibility. Another guy, John Hammond. So I personally met John Hammond, and he is a brilliant basketball mind, and he is a quality person. I can tell you that from my personal interactions with him. But he was with the Pistons. He was a assistant general manager in the late 1990s and the early 2000, and he was great. But then he was the general manager for the Bucks when they drafted Giannis. He was the guy. He will always be known, the guy that drafted Giannis. Late in the draft, one of the, I don't know if he's drafted 18th or something, but he's the guy that nailed that, and we know where that went. And then he was with the Pistons, and so I think when they drafted Chris Middleton, and then he went to Milwaukee, and then he got Chris Middleton. So he got to see, Chris Middleton was a second round pick. He was not highly thought of, and then he had some injuries, but he started out with the Pistons. I remember watching him play in the preseason thinking, this guy looks really good. But he was, he was a throw-in for some trade that the Bucks did, but John Hammond cleverly got him. And then Hammond became the general manager of the Orlando Magic. So he's orchestrated that rebuild. He's the one that drafted Paolo, and he tricked everybody. He made everybody think that he was going to draft Jabari Smith Jr., and everybody thought Paolo was going to go third, but no, everybody was stunned on draft day when he drafted Paolo. And obviously Paolo, well, I still think that I would take Chet, but Paolo looks really good. And then he drafted, the big move he made was drafting Franz Wagner. And so that's the guy who's far exceeded his, draft position. Suggs was kind of a no-brainer. Suggs kind of fell to him at the 5th pick, and Suggs didn't even look good for a while, but now Suggs is looking really good. But he made the trade with the Bulls to get with Vucevic, and Vucevic, he got these picks, including the pick for Wagner, and he got Wendell Carter Jr., who is better than Vucevic by himself. Plus, he got 2 first-round draft picks. I think one of them might have been the one that he used to get, Juwan Howard's son. So, Jet. So I think that he got that trade. So that we're not sure how good that trade or that draft pick's going to look. So, but anyway, he's transitioned now from the GM to senior advisor for the Orlando Magic. So he's no longer that. So he's older, but old guys aren't dumb. They know things. And so I don't know if he's going to be into that or not. Another guy that's been rumored is Neil I don't know how to say his name. O'Shea. He was Neil O'Shea. Yeah, Neil O'Shea. He's with Portland, and they've gone through a whole lot of things with the Dame drama and roller coaster of Dame wants to stay, Dame wants to go, and making trades. But they pulled off an amazing thing to get what they got for Dame and to parlay it into lots of other picks. And he helped draft CJ McCollum and Dame. He drafted and Anthony Simons. And so he's made some good picks, but they made some great trades. Another guy, and sometimes I like these sneaky guys. So we're going to talk more about this if we fire Monty, about possible new coaches. The coaches who have been really successful in the NBA are these young guys who were in the film room and worked their way up. And just like the coach of the year, it was the guy from OKC got it, and he is brilliant. But anyway, this guy's name is Bryson Graham, and he's the interim back 14 years ago as a real young guy for the Hornets, and now he's the assistant general manager with the Pelicans. And the Pelicans have made some amazing picks. Herb Jones they got with a late pick, and Herb Jones is one of the best defenders in the league, and he's developed into a real good three-point shooter. I wish we had Herb Jones, but the guy I even love more is Trey Murphy III. He is my guy, and obviously I don't think the Pelicans would ever trade him, but if Bryson Graham could draft us a Trey Murphy or Herb Jones, that would be what we need. So it will be fascinating. There's also, throw in there Dwayne Casey's name. I don't think Dwayne's the guy for us. I think he is older. I think he's still probably a good advisor. He's a great man, a person that's a quality, lots of integrity, and I think he's good to have around the organization. But I think that we need somebody with a fresh mind and exciting. So this is going to be interesting. Things could happen. They're starting right now, and usually when things like this start, there's things that have been going on in the background. So usually, like even before a team fires a coach, they have people looking into other coaches who they might get, or general managers or things. There's always stuff going on in the background before you hear the official announcement. So I hope things act swiftly. I hope they do it. I hope they get the right guy to be the team president. We need something. I think we have talent. I think we have some young players. The pieces don't fit. We need to add more pieces. There's just going to be a lot of things. This is the biggest offseason in Piston history, and we're either going to turn the corner or we're going to be flushed down the toilet and we're going to have to start all over again, and we don't want that. But I really believe having Cade, and Cade's excited about the season, and a lot of the guys are. I think we got good people, the young people. Whether we keep every one of them or not remains to be seen. But I just am optimistic about if Gorse can pull this off. It looks like it's a done thing that they're going to get the president. The only questions are going to be whether the new head of basketball operations is going to clean house and get a new GM and get a new coach. Like I said at the beginning, typically that does happen. So hold on to your seats. Let's get going, Piston fans. Let's get rolling. We got the worst record in the NBA, so we can fall to no lower than the 5th spot. We're due to get some luck in the lottery and get a higher pick. We're going to talk a lot more about the draft in the coming days, and it is truly going to take a great drafter because it is so unclear who the best player in this draft is, and it's going to every GM there's going to be some big misses in the top 5. I can tell you that, and somebody's going to hit it in the top 5. It's just, I was real optimistic about a couple of the players, Zachary Richichet and Alex Sarr and stuff, but they have question marks. There are some big question marks there, and so with Cody Williams, those were my 3 guys, and there's almost as many questions as there are answers for those guys. So we need the right person. I have limited access to my draft coverage. I just read and look, and listen to experts and try to kind of combine them and formulate an opinion, but it is not an easy thing. So, but thank you for listening. Please subscribe and go Pistons.